The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. That's what Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York had to say during an interview in 2019. As this may be an extreme take on the climate change issue, it is no debate that it is becoming a real issue, not only in our nation, but in our world. With the global temperature rising 2.12 degrees each year on average, a rate much higher than ever before in Earth's history, the question is if it's caused by humans. NASA says there's a 95% chance there is, so we'll assume so. The Green New Deal was a bill that was presented into Congress back in 2019 that would try to reduce and eliminate the amount of greenhouse gases our country is producing. Some of the extreme changes our country would go through is banning all airplane flights, reconstructing all buildings to a new code, all electric forms of transportation, and the ones farmers all love, making sure cows fart less methane. Yes, this is not a joke. Now, I'm not going to get into every single detail that the Green New Deal goes into. I'm just going to talk about the ones that would negatively affect farming. Farming is an industry that nearly 2% of the U.S. population works in. However, this 2% makes up 9% of the U.S.'s total pollution. That sounds bad on paper, but remember, this 2% of the population feeds all of America and other countries as well. In order to feed all of America, farmers have to pull machinery like planters and plows with tractors that run on combustion engines. Farmers have to spray their crops in order to keep them growing alive and well, and these sprayers run on combustion engines. Farmers have to harvest their annual crops with harvesters like combines, and these harvesters run on combustion engines. Farmers have to raise livestock and give them feed that in fact makes some livestock fart methane. Farmers have to transport their crop and their livestock across the nation in order to be processed, and to do that, you use semis that run on combustion engines. Farmers have to do all of this and still only make up 9% of the U.S.'s total pollution. Other industries like construction, energy, transportation, and production all produce more pollution than farming, according to the EPA. The quote I used from AOC in the beginning of my speech, she followed up with, "And your biggest concern is how we're going to pay for it?" Yes, this is in fact our biggest concern. Again, we're not going to talk about all of the issues in the Green New Deal. We're just going to talk about how other industries affect us farmers. Let's talk energy. All electric forms of energy will replace non-renewable energy 10 years after the bill is passed. Diesel and gasoline engines will now be replaced with electric motors. Tesla has released a semi about 2 years ago that runs on electricity. However, it has not yet been released onto the roads. This semi is rumored to cost over $200,000 to purchase. Tractors that run on electricity that are also powerful enough to pull machinery like planters, plows, mowers, and many other types of machinery have not yet been made, barely in a prototype. Green forms of energy like solar and wind power cost millions upon millions of dollars to put in place to have your farm fully and independently run on this green energy. One windmill alone costs $2 to $4 million to be installed. And one windmill is not enough to power an entire farm. An electric dryer versus a dryer that runs on LP or natural gas costs 25% more a bushel to dry. Diets that reduce the amount of methane your cow produces is also a very expensive alternative. So how are we going to pay for this? How are farmers going to possibly follow all of these new standards and regulations while staying profitable? Agriculture's technology is nowhere near where it needs to be to have these green forms of energy and keep farmers afloat, and won't be for a while. So how do we solve this? How do we have farmers switch to these green forms of energy while also keeping them afloat? The simple answer is we can't. Technology is just not yet advanced enough to allow farmers to switch to these green forms of energy while also keeping them profitable. No amount of subsidy given to a farmer will allow them to stay afloat with these huge price tags followed by this green energy. Why are we going to put this burden on the 2% of the population that not only works very hard to put food on their plate, but your plate as well? Thank you.